All right. Can someone confirm if they can hear me good and they can see my screen?
Confirmed.
Great, great, great. Okay, welcome everyone to the pre-launch for the Palm 2 Farm City. This is in Ado-Awaye, and it is a 1,000-acre ecological farm city. I'll just try and do a very brief deck. If we could all unmute at this point so that even later on people can then hear us and hear the message that we're trying to share. Okay, so basic summary, it's an innovative 1,000-acre farm city project. I know I'll talk about myself as the project goes, and it's designed to merge essentially real estate, the best of real estate and the best of agriculture, and put them together in an environmental responsible way. So that's what we're essentially doing, and also add a little bit of twist of tourism. Why I always love tourism projects. The reason why this one actually has the tourism feature is because it is located in Ado-Awaye. Now, Ado-Awaye is along the Iseyin-Abeokuta Expressway, not so far from Ibadan. But within that community, it has one of the only two mountain lakes in the world. So there are only two mountain lakes where you have a proper lake on top of the mountain. So this particular project is located a few kilometers from that. So it has, and I have also read Umi Tutun 2.0, which is the current Oyo State Governor's plan for that region. So I know they have some things that they want to also develop in that area. All right, so welcome to the Palm 2 Farm City. But why Palm 2? The oil palm is very, very interesting. It's a special tree. No part of it goes to waste. From the oil palm, you can get palm oil. You can even get PKO, and then you get palm kernel cake, and then you get part of the waste product is used for fuel, which we then use to provide energy for the boiler, which is used in processing oil palm. And then the funny thing is that you even get brooms from the palm tree. Now, an average mature palm in Africa produces anywhere from 25 to 50. For the sake of this project and our projections, we have taken an average of 30-liter kegs, and it's easy because, it is sold in 30-liter kegs. Now, one plot of land will only accommodate 10 trees. That's because the spacing for oil palm is 9 meters intervals. An acre will accommodate 60 trees. Palm oil palm takes 3 years to begin to fruit. It will then reach optimal fruiting period from year 7, and then it will then fruit for the next 30 years. In Nigeria, while it is an international commodity, in Nigeria, it is sold in 30-liter kegs, and then the prices varies in Nigeria very widely. It does about 50%. In 2024, for instance, oil palm at the start of the year was around 30K-ish. Then towards the end of the year, by December, it went as high as 48,000. So the dollar prices are quoted there. And it was very interesting. I remember. So we at Kabzeel, we have the privilege of owning oil palms that are fruiting in Agogo. We also have another project, the 54-acre, that is not yet fruiting. So we get oil palm, and I was speaking to the team, now let's bring oil palm, let's share oil palm with our guys, and they said at 48K, let's sell. So we sold most of it. Nigeria currently still imports about 25% of its oil palm needs. I have my oil palm mentor, Reverend Daniel, who managed 1,800 acres, and in his own farm, is not sold in kegs. So most likely, by the time this project fully materializes, we may not fully sell in kegs. He sells in trucks and tankers. And I asked him if he was able to meet his demand, and his answer is no. So they are still rapidly expanding. So there's still a market for oil palm, even in Nigeria and then globally. It's an international commodity. Now, the interesting thing about the Palm 2 Farm City is that we're combining sustainable agriculture. I'll introduce myself in a bit. We're combining innovative residential, real estate, tourism. So there'll be the small portion because the location is right by the expressway, but currently it's far from some measure of civilization. But this is a project that has a 50-year lifespan. And in 50 years, a lot will have happened that will change the landscape of Nigeria. So this project gives you opportunity to participate in land ownership and earning while you wait, and then also real estate. All right. What we intend to do with the 1,000 acres is out of that, 600 acres will be for oil palm. Now, 100 acres will be for what we call climate smart agriculture. That's the use of greenhouses. And the reason we're doing all of this is because we're trying to ring fence. If oil palm is the anchor crop here, it's a drought crop, so it does well, and it does well in Africa, particularly Nigeria. But we're also now saying, what if something happens with climate change? There are other ways we're also planning with, and because I also run permaculture. One of the things we're also going to do is we're not just going to clear all the land. We're going to keep 100 acres for reserve. And of course, that would also then, as the land increases in value, we'll then have other sustainable uses for it, parks and theme parks and other things, but the trees will be left. Then we have 100 acres kept aside for residential tourism, circulation road, and the likes. Then 50 acres is for our pond, orchards, and our special trees that we like to have, where we have 50 acres for industrial, commercial, and other uses. Now, this is the location for the Palm2 Farm City. These are real pictures that we took when I went there. And it's right by the express. It's on the left and on the right, but 300 acres on the left, 1,000 acres on the right. We are focusing on the 1,000 acres on the right. The coordinates are there. And the document has C of O. We have a working agreement with the family, and we have also done our search on the C of O. The only disadvantage is that the C of O was gotten in 1988. So that's just 10 years after the Land Use Act started. So it already has some years, but we still have more than our 50 years that we need for the project. All right. So now it's time for me to introduce myself and members of the team. Let me just check. We now have 30 people here. So welcome to all of you. A good number of us will be from the investing community. So I'm Folashi Daniels. I'm privileged to lead the Kabzeel Group. The Kabzeel Group is made up of the Kabzeel Investment Limited. Also, we also have the Kabzeel Club. We have the cooperative. So we have the learning and the earning community. At the cooperative, we essentially pull funds together for projects like this. But I, as a person, I'm an architect and a permaculture designer. I'm privileged to lead the only permaculture association currently in Nigeria. I'm also the promoter of the farm banking concept. And if you've not heard about farm banking, give me 1 minute to pitch that to you. Most of us will have heard about land banking. That's where you buy land and you keep it for a number of years and expect that, oh, the value of land will grow, will appreciate because it is limited in value. So I've seen people who buy land and they keep it for 20, 30 years, and then they just wait. We do farm banking. At farm banking, we say, people tell you to buy land and wait. We say, why buy land and wait when you can buy land, plant on the land, and then gain as you wait. And that's one of the things we're doing here at the Palm2 Farm City. We also have, because we are, I lead the association, because I also privileged to lead the cooperative and the club. We have a team, aside having people who work for us full-time, we have a team of agronomists, architects, engineers, designers. At the investing community, we're over 100. At the learning community, we're over 500. That at the association, I've not checked our number, we keep increasing. So we focus on architecture, agriculture, and we bring all of that together. And so we have affiliations with Soilless Farm Lab. Soilless Farm Lab is a 300-acre project led by farmer Sam Sinogoli, and they are doing climate smart agriculture. We run their permaculture project, and we did some construction works for them. Ladeko Daniel's farm, that's my oil palm mentor. It's 1,800 acres of oil palm. So essentially, I've not just seen it done. I've been to farms where we have some of our own farms where some of this is working. And then there's Ikara Farm City, there is the Cocoa Research Institute, there's NIOT, where we get our seedlings from. So essentially, we are poised to run this project together. And some of our projects, I had to tell them to rush, go get this. This was taken very, very recently. I'll only tell you about one of the major crops. This is our own farm. It's a 54-acre farm. We are still in the waiting period with the oil palm. You can see one of the oil palms there. We have planted, established 50 acres of oil palm in this one. It's completely owned by our cooperative. And so this one is not available for this investment. But I want to talk about the tree on the left-hand side. When you leave this excuse me, now when you leave this pitch presentation, just go check Agarwood. That is Agarwood you're looking at the left. We have Agarwood established. So we have 4 acres that we have kept aside for orchards, Agarwood. We have about 120 trees of Agarwood. Agarwood is where you get oud, O-U-D, good perfume from. And that was imported from Malaysia, very rare. I don't know if there's any other cooperative in Nigeria that has Agarwood. What I intend to do with Agarwood is to grow that into 1,000 trees. And these are some of the things that we're going to bring into this Palm 2 Farm City as Agarwood, cocoa, and different other projects. I'll probably, if we have questions and we're able to delve into that, I'll go into that. But this is some pictures of our farm. These are farm banking concepts in Epe. We currently own 12 acres of this. Also, not completely owned because we've sold, I think out of the 12 acres, we've sold less than 1 acre to a non-member of the cooperative. The rest are currently owned by members of the cooperative. And what we're doing here is that we're planting also and waiting while the place grows. It's about 1 kilometer from the Lagos Lagoon. Development hasn't gotten here, so we're doing our farm banking project here. So these are some of our projects. The ones above are the Soilless Farm Lab facilities, the recreational facilities that we installed. Below is the design. Like I said, I'm an architect, also a permaculture designer. So I'm mixing both agriculture and architecture together. So we're running the Ikara Farm City design. If you've not heard about Ikara Farm City, don't worry, that's coming up much later, but it's of course not for this launch. Some of our other projects, architecture, agriculture, community projects that we do. But let's focus now on this project, the Palm 2 Farm City. What we intend to do is that we will start establishment in 2025, clearing, setting up, and doing our own nursery. You will see why we will buy fruited nuts and then create our own nurseries. And that's what we did for our palm and tea project in Ilaro. We essentially nursed it for a year, and then that helps us save costs and ensure that we're getting the best quality. We purchase from NIOT directly. But for 2025, we're going to establish the first 100 acres and we'll buy seedlings. It's a little more expensive, but we'll start that. Then by 2026, we will then establish the remainder of the oil palm area, and then we'll start agricultural development. Did I mention cocoa? Now, cocoa has many issues because you have to keep a strict regiment, but we're going to work directly with CRIN, that is the Cocoa Research Institute of Nigeria. They will help us establish this part. One of the reasons why we love cocoa is we're ring-fencing the different areas of the project. Just a quick question, can everyone still hear me good?
Confirmed.
Thank you very much. All right, so we're ring-fencing the project. We're doing 25 acres of cocoa, and the business model in that was, I saw earlier a few weeks ago where the federal government revalued the price of cocoa if they were going to ever come and take it to essentially 160,000 per tree. And with 10 hectares, you would have 10,000 trees, and that just gives you 1.6 billion naira in value in about 7 years once you have matured trees. So, and I said, why not? If not, I mean, all we have to do is keep out 25 acres. That's less than, is that 4% of our project. So that's what we're going to do. Then by 2027, we'll then expect that the farm operations will have begun. We'll then start marking out the residential properties that would then be available. But once again, that's also a separate part of the investment call. So there will be another pitch deck for that, an investment call for that. And the tourism, you want to do golfing, you want to have alternative lifestyle, you want to eat healthy, eat from the farm, live on the farm, you want to come. And then you can also access the location from the newly completed Moniya train station. So it takes you about an hour, you get to the place. So, and then by 2030, once the fruits, the oil palm begin to produce, we will then set up the processing facility for it. So what's the investor plan and what's the opportunity here? We are inviting you to own part of this by purchasing the land. So the land becomes yours. You have a piece of the city, you get your property document, your allocation, But remember, only one CFO can be on the property. So we're just going to allocate a portion of that to you. Then you join the Palm 2 mailing list and we'll give you updates. Then we will go ahead. We've done this before. We have fruiting trees in our goal. We have those that are not yet fruiting in Ilaro. So we'll then go ahead and execute, do essentially what we do best, and then give you quarterly reports. Once it now begins to produce, we will then also handle that. So you essentially invest once, we maintain that, and then you begin to earn. But remember, it takes 3 years for oil palm to fruit, but we're telling people to have a waiting period of 5 years. And the reason we're saying that is, in my own particular experience, I remember the first time we planted our oil palm in Ilaro. We planted early. Then by that Harmattan period, our workers ran. So some of our workers disappeared, and then our neighbors set fire. So we lost some of our oil palms because lack of workers and neighbors. So we had to redo it. So we didn't lose everything, we had to redo it. So I'm simply saying this is that businesses, investments have risk. So we are preparing and giving ourselves, we know in 5 years, we'll already be fruiting. And when oil palm begins to fruit from its third year, the first harvest is usually just left because it's still very small, very minute. So it's from the fourth year you begin to get an harvest. So we say 5 years, and then you begin to earn a revenue for the next 30 years. And then people can, of course, expand their holdings. Now let's take a look at some of the numbers. The current pre-launch price is 2.5 million per acre. And what this means is one should do 2.5 million per acre. It is all inclusive. It includes the documentation costs with us. It includes the 4 years that we're going to maintain the farm. How are we able to do this? One, we're able to buy low because we have the fruit nuts. We're going to set up. And also, because oil palm, side gist, investors, I'm teaching you some of our own back engines. Because oil palm is planted at 9 meters apart, in the first 3 years, we're able to also do some other preliminary minor planting, corn, cassava, that essentially maintains the farm. So that helps us also manage this. But essentially, you pay once, we manage this for 4 years, and then from the 5th year, you begin to get a payment. And from once it begins to produce, you will then get 80% of whatever produce we make. The 20% will be for farm operating expenses, to operate the mill, to operate transport, and several things essentially. I know I was also looking at that. Are there other people doing things like this? And I found out that there is a promo going on by another company I wouldn't mention, who already have palm that have been planted for about 2 years. And they are currently giving promotional price per plot at 2.75 million. I'm like, very nice. So, and their acre cost is currently about 16 point something million. I'm like, okay, interesting. What they're essentially selling is that they've done this for 3 years. They already have some of it established, and they're selling at that. So this is a very interesting deal, but this deal wouldn't last forever. The expiry date, or when we're going to change the price, is after AGM, January 27th. So the investors will then get a return from the 5th year for 30 years. So to look at yield per acre, usually what we then say is one oil palm will produce at least 1 keg every year. So from 1 acre, you should expect at 8.5% anything from at least a million. At least a million, 1.2, you get that from at least 1 acre. Another benefit are, because the reason we're not doing 1,000 acres of oil palm is to ring fence and to protect different investment opportunities with other things. So what if something happens and the whole world decide for some impossible reason it will never happen, yeah? But that they're not going to take oil palm again. We will then have things like cocoa, we'll have agar, we'll have different things that we can also balance with. And then also there will be real estate residential plots available for sale in 2027, preparing for the tourism development. So there are different payment types, but the kind we're looking for right now are those that are interested in the pre-launch. So the pre-launch 1 acre is 2.5. If you're going to, however, do 10 acres or 10 acres and above, you'll get it at 2 million per acre. Now, these are for people that are paying outrightly between now and next 3 months maximally. You would pay at least half to 70% so that we can essentially bulk start with that. But people that then want to spread it, the opportunities to spread, those are conversations that we then have with this. I'll also say that this deck is also available for people that want to market. So when people also want to market, there is discounts and conversations that we can have. So if you want to market, reach out to myself. You can send me a DM. You see our numbers at the end of this deck. We should also create Ezekiel. Please help me type in our email, or if Bishop is on the call, please let me type in our email or our WhatsApp number so that people can either send in their mails so that we can also send this document across to them. But this document will be made available on us. If you're a member of the investing community, the club or cooperative, you don't need to bother. We'll send the documents there. But if you're invited here by someone, please, you can do that or reach out to the person that invited you and you will get that essentially. So what then happens? What's the earning potential from this? So you have a wait period of, say, 4 years. But from each of these, I mean, essentially just look at it from 1 acre after 4 years, you're expecting 780 USD from annually at 80%. And the interesting thing about this is that it can go higher, it can go low. We're trying to pick, I picked an average price from 2024, 30K at the start of the year. I used 46 here. It was 48,000 at the end of the year. There are different factors that can affect that, but you will essentially be you expect to get nothing less than 1.25 from 1 acre, and then you're expecting to get 12.5 from 10 acres. And then if you're doing 100 acres, the maximum we can allow one person to buy, one human being to buy, is 100 acres. And the principle is with cooperatives, nobody's allowed to own more than 20% of the total investment per time. Okay, so things to note, I've alluded to this, I mentioned this, price per ton, it differs a lot. And what I worked with is the price for this year. So there are a lot of different conditions that may affect or determine the price. If, for instance, there's a drought, usually the prices go very high and different things then happen. And then the quoted figures, you still expect that there will be a 20% discount for revenue for marketing and management by us. All right. So what sets us apart? I've talked about this. We are located next the famous. It may not be so famous to you because when I found it out, I was like, interesting. Unfortunately, with Nigerians, we have spiritualized everything. So they believe that the lake was put there by some of their grandfathers and all of the very funny traditional beliefs. But you can just go check it out, the Ado-Awaye mountain lake. But there are only 2 of its kind in the world. The second is in the United States. That's beautiful. The second thing is that beyond oil palm, we are ring fencing that with climate smart agriculture, greenhouse. I mean, we have link with Farmer Sam, so their team will help will facilitate the setup of the greenhouses with our team. Then we also have Agri-ecotourism. We have different other things that we're also going to include them. And then we are doing biodiversity conservation. Essentially, we're bringing him a bit of resort, a bit of tourism, a bit of eco-friendly residential living. So it's a farm, it's a city, it's a palm to farm city. So finally, we also looked at what are the possible challenges that could happen, government and legal. We've done and verified our own. The City of Ado-Awaye State registry is registered with them. We've also for regulatory change, because I mean the government of any state can wake up and say different things. What we intend to then do is open lines of communication with them. So for climate change, that's why we're imputing climate smart agriculture. Now for soil nutrient depletion, that is my area, soil essentially permaculture. We intend to also work with our guys to impute a bit of manure, a bit of different types of agriculture. And by that, I mean poultry manure. Poultry manure is found to be one of the best for it, aside inorganic manure. And then disease outbreak, we'll work with our agronomists to essentially prevent that. Part of also what we do to prevent communal disturbance in our side story, in our Ekpe farm, in our Ekpe land banking project. They are currently working on the fencing as we speak. So I got a call earlier today that the youths, not Omonile now, if you know Omonile, those are land grabbers, but youths. So there is the money for the youths that we had paid since last year. And then when we're going to start just before Christmas. We sent a token to them. But because the guys that wanted to do the fencing started after Christmas, they came again to now say, what would you do for us and all of that. Those are things that happen. Those are things that we will handle. Those are things we're prepared for. So we would always have conversations with people, with them like that, so that those are things we're ready for. And then we have multi-layered security measures. So one of the things we currently practice in our Ilaro farm, we run a program called the Kabzeel Healthcare Program. Healthcare is Community Agriculture Reinvent Revolution Empowerment Scheme, where we gather the people together, give them a portion of the farm, and say all you have to do is ensure that the farm is free, the oil palm is free, because oil palm is planted at 9 meters interval. So the drone shots are not here. So what we then say is that we give you the land for free, you farm on it, whatever produce you make is for you, but you must ensure that the land is free. The land is free of any weed, and then the oil palms are doing very well. What that does is that it gives them security for 3 years, and then it also helps us, it reduces our costs for weeding. So we essentially work together with people. I don't want to say so much on that. And then we then have to have security measures. Of course, security is in God, but we do our measure. I had a funny thought today while thinking about it, that we may even have to work with the local Amotekun guys to essentially ensure that it's fine. And then for price fluctuation, there's very little we can do about that. But one of the beautiful things about it is palm oil can be stored effectively. So we will sell every month because palm oil is produced every month to ensure that at least we are making something. We're not trying to time the market, but we would also then do a little bit of commodity storing, which is essentially we'll store when the price is low and then sell when it is way higher. This is a pitch deck that will be available to all of you. So we have frequently asked questions. If there are questions, they will. So we have spoken to most of this so that people can also go over them. Minimum purchase right now is 1 acre. I know there are some people on the investing communities who say they are students and we're considering the generation plan to allow them buy in plots, but you are not. These are not available for the pre-launch. When the price increases after the AGM, that will then become available. But for now, 1 acre. And will investors be involved in the day-to-day? Unless you want to come and join us at no additional payments, we allow you run the run with us. But aside that, we would essentially run that. What returns will come from the 5th year. Potential risk, I've just spoken to them. There are risks with it. There's fire risk. There's different things. People ask, can you do insurance? My experience with insurers is that they only literally, they say the land is there. They literally insure your running capital. So yes, we will do that. But really, I found a lot of agricultural insurance of that kind to be ineffective. So but yes, we will do insurance. Then market fluctuations, very little can happen to that. So what we try to do is we'll be open with communication. If the price falls, everybody will know the price falls, but we'll also we'll make decisions. Should we sell now? Should we not sell now? There'll be discussions essentially. So we will also then set up the processing unit facility, and that will be a different call for that. And that will also help us ensure that we get the best from our own returns, from our own produce. And then the residential development will be available in 2027. And with that, I hope I've been able to convince you and not confuse you. And I've also been able to shed a lot of light. These are our details. If there are any questions, here am I. Send me. I'll be willing to take them. Thank you so much, and welcome to Palm 2 Farm City. I hope I didn't take forever. So that's it. I'm willing to take questions now. If you have questions, you can either drop them on the chat box. If there are no questions, okay. I are yet to go. That's one of our killers. That's one of our members of the investment community. If you have a question, please go ahead, unmute and do this. Let me check the chat. Oh, I see some messages, direct messages. Thank you. Is the investment community open to outsiders, including people of different faiths? Yes. Is there a commission for freelance marketers? Yes. So for members of the community, there's higher rates. So I don't want to declare our commission. The standard commission is 5% for for investors, for anybody brings someone in, standard commissions of 5%. So that was a direct question sent to me. So thank you. Any other question? Nothing else in the chat. Anybody can unmute if you want to ask questions. I would not, and then I'll go to them. There are no questions. Okay. Why is no one allowed to? Cooperative rules, they believe cooperative is a general body. So I've always contested it, but that's the law. Lagos and Ogun states now, cooperative rules states that no one person should own more than 20% because of the idea of, hey, give me a hug. When you come for the AGM, yes, you can see me. Okay, there's another direct question. What is the worst percentage that can be received if things do not go as planned? So when you say percentage, do you mean percentage of the original amount that has been invested? That's tricky because when you invest with us now, in 4 years, I expect that the value of the land would have at least, if not doubled, maybe increased by 50%. But if you're now saying what's the worst percentage of the amounts that we have put about, if you're looking at the profit that is there, I don't expect it to be less than 50% of the profit that I've talked about. I don't expect it to ever go less than that. And because you know the price in 2017, when we started this oil palm, our Agri-ecotourism runs, palm oil back then used to be like 14K in Naira. But you know, of course, the Naira and dollar, a lot of drama has also happened, and we're also selling here. Don't send direct messages so that other people can see messages coming. I see love. Half plot option. The number you're calling is currently switched off. Please try again later. There's currently no half plot option. Even for students, we're only going to make one plot option. And the reason is this. Ideally, we're only looking at 400 to 500 people. So by the time we begin to introduce half plot, one plot, all of those, it becomes very interesting. So currently there is none. So, but for investment, I don't expect we to ever eat anything below 50% of what we have already talked about, but that will be a major one. And you know that this is people are not buying into Agarwood. Agarwood is the added benefit that's coming from the cooperative. People are not buying to different other projects. They are just essentially ring fencing. What costs does it covers your capital and your running costs. So they wouldn't insure the palm. They will insure the amount you're using to run the farm. They would insure your buildings when you have them. They would insure your running costs essentially. They don't insure the whole projects. They don't insure your capex and all of those things. So little recap. Don't worry, the recording will be made available for you, and then I think we're also going to post it on our YouTube page. But are there any other questions? Nobody wants to unmute too. Mr. George, do you have any questions for me? You're good. Is it there? Trying to check if there's, I don't know. Are there any other questions? If there are any other questions, I'm here to say, Isabella Chris, I'm seeing the French type Spirit Edv. I don't know if I pronounced that properly. So any other comments before I call it a night? All right, David, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Thank you for your presentation. I had a quick question on that 4-year maintenance cost. Is it 4 years because of it takes up to 5 years to expect profit, or is it 4 years and then after those 4 years you have to now individually sort out your maintenance cost?
Sorry, I didn't get the question very well. You said, is it 4 years because it takes 4 years to fruit, or is it 4 years because?
So is it 4, and then after those 4 years, I as an individual now need to understand how to maintain my land, if that makes sense?
Oh, no.
Okay.
So a lot of our investors are not necessarily in country, even members of the cooperative. A lot of some of our guys are not even in country. So we essentially, remember, we have the company and the cooperative. We would run that. So going forward, and it is after that, that's the reason we're charging the 20% of the revenue. to essentially maintain it. So we'll maintain it throughout its life cycle. And we don't intend to sell out all the 600 acres. We're looking at a scenario where we give out 500, and then we would also have 100 acres, which is ours. And then we would then manage for you essentially. So after the 4 years, when we do the maintenance, once it begins to fruit, oil palm pays itself essentially. We'll then take that up continually. So you then get 80% of the revenue as your own profits, and then we take 20% for doing the running, the marketing, and all of that. Yes, Kelites Okwayemi, please go ahead. Sorry, we're not only Kelites here. We call ourselves Kelites, Kabzeelites. So Okwayemi, please go ahead. But does that answer your question? Yeah, bro. Go ahead, please.
Yes, that did. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry. I just wanted to clarify something from David's question. So David's question, if I get it correctly, is that after the 4 years, would you still need to pay anything annually, or at any point in time, would you need to pay anything apart from the initial 2.5 million? David, did I recap your question correctly?
Yeah, I think you did, but I think he answered it by saying it's the 20% that he takes away to maintain the cost. That
All
would then
right,
be
thank you.
extra
Yeah.
maintenance. Yeah.
Great, lovely. Thank you.
Yes, so I came back here to simply just reiterate that it is a one-off cost for now. So for those people that want to take the plunge, this is the cheapest it would ever be. This is the lowest price. After January, we're going to, if you do 10 acres, you get 2 million per acre. From January, it becomes 2.5 million because essentially once we then start, after 2-3 years, it's no longer available. The price keeps increasing. And then if you ever want to sell, just come back to us. We will buy at any time T. So the price keeps increasing, but it's a one-off payment essentially. Oh, okay. No problem. I see there's a Mr. Mayokun. Please go ahead. Or a Miss. Please go ahead. I know a brother is Mayokun. That's
It's definitely a miss, but yeah, it's a unisex name, so I understand. Thank you so much. This has been so helpful, but I missed the beginning, so sorry if you already answered this. But you mentioned there were, I think, 600 plots, and the aim is to give out 500 of them. So what happens if, I don't know, you don't manage to give out all 500? Like, I don't know, does that affect anything for the people who have already bought those plots? Or I hope that makes sense.
Okay, so it's acres, 600 acres, yeah? So, and we hope to only give 5. The total land size is 1,000, out of which we intend to establish 600 as for oil palm. Now, remember, we are a cooperative. As our cooperative expands, one of the projects, our cooperative, we don't do loans. We simply do investments. So we essentially gather money together, do projects like this, projects that can essentially pay you out consistently over your lifetime. So if we get just 100, our cooperative will keep expanding it. But it will be available for sale as we expand it. The beautiful thing about our real estate is as we expand it, the prices increase and we'll keep marketing. If we then get more people, the price has increased. So, but from 100 acres, the project is a go. Because from my own mentor, to set up the minimum you need to set up an oil palm mill is 50 acres. So, and where we're actually going is into the thousands and thousands because the project just makes sense. It's there. It's beautiful. So, but from 100 acres where we go, we'll be glad if we do the 500. It would help us open up the residential areas faster, because those residential areas we then need to fence. We then need to do several other infrastructural development. But if we don't, we're good. Very good. I hope that helps and that answers.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kelechi, can you hear me?
Okay. Do we have any? Yes, I can.
Okay. So my question really is it possible for members of the investment community, investment club rather, to join forces together in the pre-launch, in purchasing for the pre-launch rather than individual?
If you can band together, I mean, that's why we're a community. We do that all the time. That's so yes, that's very possible. That's very possible. Very, very possible.
Okay.
In fact, there will be I'm not supposed to announce this here. There'll be a special opportunity at our AGM for members only. But don't worry, the pre-launch price will still be there. But there'll be a special opportunity for at the AGM. But people can gather together because this particular pre-launch is between now and January 27, essentially. But yes, to answer that question. Do we have any other? Going one. I asked for Mr. George. I don't know if he's still here.
Yeah, yes, I'm still here, sir. Yes, I'm good.
Okay, just wanted to hear from you because are you good, sir?
Thank you. I'm good, sir. Thank you so much for your presentation. And I've also listened to the questions and how you've answered them. The questions have been very key, and your answers have also been very comprehensive. So thank you so much, and thank you everyone who has asked questions here.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So how does it work for those who are not Nigerians? So you don't need to necessarily be a Nigerian to buy land in Nigeria. If you are going to if you wanted to become a member of maybe the company, a shareholder in the company, then the CAC has different rules around that. So, but in terms of the paperwork, people, as long as you're a human being, that works smoothly with our Nigerian regulations. So you don't need to be a Nigerian to own land, agricultural land, residential land in Nigeria. But if you then want to, this is now not applicable to this project, but if you want to say start a company, then there are different terms and conditions, the kind of people you must partner with, percentages and all of that. But for this particular project, Nigerian, non-Nigerian, it flies very, very well. And also allude to that, you don't need to be in Nigeria. We can also send your documents out to you. We can send it by DHL out to you. And if you have someone here that can also pick up from you, that's fine. And it will also give an opportunity to come visit by the time the tourism session is open. Billionaire Chris, I see you there. All right, thank you. I hope that helps, Charmaine. So any other question? And then I want to send the slides to everyone. So if someone invited you here, please reach out to them. They'll get the slides. For those of us in the member community, you'll get the slides just after this call. I think that will be it for now, unless there's any other one. Going once. And then this video will be available. We'll probably post it on our YouTube so that people can go over it again. And then if you reach out to people, they can also go over it again. And I'm also available most times when I'm available. We can take a call. I can take a call. Okay, I see there's an Emmanuel raising up his hand. All right, please go ahead.
Hi, sorry, can you please explain the residential phase that you said that is going to happen in 2027, please? I didn't really catch it.
Okay. So the project has the 600 acres, our land use. I see somebody's already drawing on my screen. We need to change that. So there's going to be 100 acres residential. Now, like I said, we do real estate, we do agriculture. This pre-launch is first from the agriculture phase. By 2027, once the oil palm has been set up, the oil agricultural areas have been set up, we will then set up a proper mini estate within the farm. So the location will be closer to the express because the land value there will rise higher. We will then create individual 500 square meter plots, 300 square meter plots, commercial plots, property plots within that area. And the reason is that area is an expressway. So it's just a question of time, development will catch it. And when development catches it, because of our foresight in designing, we will have allocated the residential portion. But that is not available for conversation yet. And the reason for that is pricing will still be similar to the agricultural. But by 2027, the pricing will be its own ball game. It will also be another selling point aside that, because we will have the live, work, eat healthy, hiking, and all of that within it. So it's a separate project, but within the 1,000 acre project. What a lot of people do, of course, they're not architects, they're not permaculture designers, is they just say, oh, we get 1,000 acres, let's do 950 acres of oil palm, want to maximize profit. No. There are different ways to get profit, and then to also ring fence and protect different investments, essentially. So the residential part will then come with that. I hope I've not explained too much. Did you get what I said, Mr. Emmanuel?
Yes, it makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. So by the time I say going once, going two, then somebody raises up your hands. If you want to raise up your hand, please go ahead now, because I would love to stay and take our questions, but I don't want it to become awkward when I'm waiting and there are no questions. So in the absence of any other question, thank you so much, everyone. I'm very grateful. We look forward to hearing you. We look forward to taking this conversation further. If there are any other questions, we're here. But if none, thank you. I'll stop sharing first, and then say, thank you so much. Just give us 1 minute to say hi and byes, hi and byes, hi and byes. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Stop it, subscribe.